Hey, everybody. Good morning. It's your girl, Coach Christal, and welcome to Wisdom Wednesdays. Now, we know this is a different time for Wisdom Wednesdays. We usually are about at 8:15 p.m., but we know the holiday season is intact and that people have a lot of running around to do, but we want to make sure that you are fed before you start to feast, okay, on the inside. So, today we have a special guest for Wisdom Wednesdays. If you are just joining us, this is your first time with us on Wisdom Wednesdays. First of all, let me welcome you with our mantra that we start each and every Wisdom Wednesday with and each one of our client sessions with. And it just says that a lot of things happen before this. And I guarantee a lot of things are going to happen after this. But I promise to be here with you now. Please be here with me now. Today, as with every Wisdom Wednesday, I am super excited to welcome someone who I love, admire, learn from, glean from. And today's special guest is Kamilah Martin. Kamilah is the CEO and founder of Katalyst Consulting. She is the founder of an amazing mastermind group that you can find on LinkedIn. She'll tell you a little bit more about it. And if you were just, like scrolling through some pictures and said, oh my goodness, I think Christal was recently in Jamaica, I was there with this amazing woman, making sure that other amazing women get fed and find their true passion in life. So please help me welcome Kamilah Martin. Hey, good morning.
Hey, good morning. I'm
How
so
you
happy to
doing?
be here. How are you
Hey,
doing, Christal?
I'm excellent. I'm so happy to have you here. Listen, Kamilah, I don't ever think that my introductions do my guest any justice. So please tell us in your own words who you are and what you do.
Oh, well, thank you. You did a great job, quite honestly. So gosh, who am I? I'm Kamilah. I'm in my full mom glory today. You see, first and foremost, a mother of two amazing young children who are happen to be homesick today. So they may be doing cameo appearances just because that's real life and this is what we do.
Yeah.
But I am a recent entrepreneur. The last couple of years, I transitioned from a nonprofit executive role into independent consulting. And I've been taking a lot of women along on my journey and supporting them along their journeys as well. So I run basically three things with our company, Katalyst. We have the mastermind community for nonprofit consultants or those who are transitioning. I run an incredible annual Fill Your Cup retreat, which is all about pouring love and luxury into Black women and brown women to just feel loved and seen and taken care of. And then I consult as well with organizations around the world, really, in senior leadership roles and interim leadership placements, as well as certain projects, here and there. So I do a lot of things, but right now in this season of life, it's about liberation, both for me as well as many women that I can bring along with me who are kind of interested in exploring different avenues and possibilities for their lives.
Yeah, it's amazing. So let's just be really transparent here, right? Like when you say liberation, what do you mean?
I mean, freedom.
Yeah.
First of all, that's what comes to mind, and choice, honestly, because I think every person has a different idea of what liberation means to them.
Yeah.
And I'm not somebody to sit up on a box and kind of talk that you have to have a certain path and do things a certain way. But I do want people to understand that you have a choice in the way that your life can unfold.
Yeah.
And so for me, liberation means having flexibility with my schedule, having the opportunity to be able to see my kids perform at their performances and volunteer at their school, being able to say no to clients and people whose values don't necessarily live with my values. And that was actually the catalyst for my company, Katalyst, was what, situations that happened that, made me sort of take a step back and decide what it was I wanted for my life and what kind of, in my 40s and 50s, what did I want for this next kind of phase of my existence. And so liberation for me means freedom and choice, and it's going to be different for everybody.
Yeah. And I think that's really, I wanted you to really speak about that because we need to be clear, right? A lot of people these days, we're in an infodemic, we're coming out of a pandemic, and there's all of these kind of prescriptions about what freedom looks like, what financial security looks like, what happiness looks like, what you should be doing. And instead of shooting on ourselves, which is actually not freedom at all, what we need to be doing is really kind of creating our own definition of liberation. I know I have been extremely honored to walk this path with you, right? I consider you one of my partners in believing. And so when you created Katalyst and was like, hey, can you come talk to our women? I was deeply honored, right? That you could see in me something that is a part of your vision. How are you continuing to coalesce and build a foundation for the work you want to do now that you are the author and the architect?
Oh, that is a big question. So first of all, what I want to say is you and I have a history.
Yeah.
We have gone through many lifetimes, I feel, together, many journeys together. We started out in, a dance world, back when I either wanted to be a dancer or run a dance company. And you were a professional dancer at American Dance Festival. So kind of seeing our journeys through all of that, through motherhood, through entrepreneurship was, and following you, over the years, we never kept close in touch, but it kind of was like whenever we did get together, we, kind of created magic in different ways. So, so thank you for being a part of this journey as well. I would say that, I continue to create, my vision by iterating. I see what it is that I am good at, and I own that, and I step into that space fully. But I also understand where, support might be needed. So for example, the retreat that we went on this last year I did it for the first time by myself. And this year I was like, I need a team. So, part of that vision for myself was kind of stepping out of my ego, and knowing when it was time to bring in support, and bring in people who had other gifts to bring to the table. And that's what sustained me and our company so far. I have a great team around me. And I just want to continue to build that for other women, and create the space for other women that want to kind of experiment or try out this new phase of their life as well.
Yeah. You brought up something that's really, I feel like honest and transparent. Like there's no shame in asking for help. Right.
There ain't no shame.
Right. Like let's just put it out there to all the amazing, powerful, get it done kind of women, the mamas, the everybody, right? Like sometimes you get to be your best self when you can only focus on the thing that you do the best and let other people do the rest of the stuff. And right. And like that's okay. So one of the ways that I think is really, really transformational in your organization, right, is when you're able to find people who align with the vision and you trust enough to hand over and delegate things that are outside of your zone of genius. So I've seen the retreat grow. It's been an amazing thing to watch you be able to just sit in your zone of genius and inspire the women who are actually connected to your vision because they want to glean from your transformation. How have you then been able to level your transformation up by being able to let go of some of these smaller things?
So, the first thing I'll say is not only is there no shame, but I feel like it's unsustainable if you are doing everything yourself. And that's how I've been able to level up. I've sat in that space where I had this idea of what liberation meant for me, and I'm, in it all day, the grind, doing everything. And I'm just like, this is not working. This is not the vision that I had for myself. And so, again, there's a lot of ego checking involved. There's a lot of sort of self-awareness, consistent self-awareness and self-reflection, which I think I'm generally pretty good at. I'm in my head a lot. So, when I sit and I say, okay, this is what I do well, this is what's not quite working for me, having to do my calendar, having to write, a bajillion emails, where can I get support from people who actually enjoy doing those other things? So that's where, that's where I've been able to excel. I think, creating that team, finding people who are also aligning with their strengths and helping them identify sometimes what they don't even realize are their gifts. And I think a lot of times us, because we're so in the grind, we're so in the day to day, that if we don't take the opportunity to sort of step back or have someone kind of shine a light on, who we really are, a lot of times we can get buried and get lost. So I just try and make sure I create that time for myself for that reflection, even if it's small chunks of time. Honestly, like in the shower is my time to sort of think and reflect. Again, two young kids, I don't get a whole lot of free time to kind of just sit and think. So you have to create those spaces wherever you can and make it a priority. At least in my life, I try and make it a priority. And this is a new thing. Like I was not like this in the very beginning, but again, because it was not sustainable for me to continue operating and grinding my wheels constantly, I was just like, something's got to change, even in this new sort of entrepreneurial space where I'm in charge of my life and my time. Sort of creating and carving out that time and making sure that it's a priority and a focus of mine is really the only way that I'm going to survive. So that's how.
Yeah, no, I mean, and that's real, because freedom is not easy, right? When you have been really accustomed since basically kindergarten to follow a structure that tells you if you're doing well or if you're not, or if you're meeting the mark or if you're not, and all these other structures that come into our lives later on, college, graduate school, the workforce, all of these things that build us to support, like build us up to lean on their support. Then when you let go of those things, the freedom of creating your own structure is not easy, and it takes a lot of discipline.
The system is not designed for liberation, Christal.
No.
The system is not designed for freedom, No. And so if you're operating and attempting to exist outside of that, again, there are lots of positives that come along with that, but you're up against, figuring things out and a lot of challenges. It can be done. There are people that are doing it every day, but it's not easy. It's not easy. So I think, like we said earlier, kind of taking that time and making sure that you are being intentional about where the pain points, what do I need to lean into? Where do I need to get support is really, what's going to help propel you or kind of keep you stagnant.
Yeah, no, totally. And, we would say here, right, like if you don't have a vision of who you actually are living that life, then it's going to be easier to fall back onto the structure, right? You got to really see yourself outside of that paradigm before you start to solve your own problems again. Otherwise, you'll lean on other people's solutions.
Absolutely. And that's the work you do, in the few times you've come to our events and our retreats and our mastermind communities, that's the work you help us understand. What's the reality? What's the paradigm shift that needs to happen between perception and reality, right? And, constantly reminding yourself of your vision, of your dream, of your purpose, of your reason on this planet for this moment in time. That's what's going to help, like you said, knock against when you face those challenges, be like, but no, this is why I'm here. This is why I'm doing this. So I can break through whatever this is. I can figure this out. I can get the support that I need. It is possible. So that's a constant, replay, even in the work that we've done with you and the little bit that I've picked up, kind of watching other women kind of be inspired and grow through the work that you do. It's been incredibly valuable.
Yeah, but I think you just hit something on the head before, Kamilah, right? Like, it is easy to get stuck in your head. And when you're having a conversation with you all day about you, then you probably can't see the whole picture, right? Like, that's just another part of this, is that we are the women that you help and support in their transition, the clients that I have here are really high functioning, successful, intelligent people. So they have been taught for so many years to think their way through into a solution that they can manage. Now, a lot of the entrepreneurial journey, a lot of the vision journey, a lot of the creative journey is about leaning into a solution that you may not have all the skills to do yet. Right?
And also leaning into people, right, who are in the same path. And I would say at the beginning of this year, I don't do New Year's resolutions or anything like that. But the beginning of this year, I had a word. I don't know why, but I just thought a word came to me, and the word was community. And I honestly, I saw it every single place that I went. And that's what I started to build and really come to understand is women like us,
Mhm.
like we're used to kind of, like you said, just taking care of business, getting it done.
Yeah.
We don't really rely on each other.
Right.
So when you have other women who can help you see those paradigm shifts that need to happen, or
Yeah.
can help remind you of your power and your vision, to help remind you of your purpose, I think that is one of the most powerful kind of revelations I've had in this last year,
Yeah.
alone, as well as in building these various kind of communities for the company.
Yeah.
Seeing how women are able to rely on each other and lean on each other, and receive from each other.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
find your, I don't care what community it is. For
Yeah.
some people it's church, for some people it's church and something else, or some other sort of religious institution. Some people join mastermind communities, some people join clubs and sororities. Community is key. And I think if anything we've learned out of this pandemic, being so isolated,
Yeah.
is that we need people, and
Yeah.
we need our people that align with whatever it is that you're about. So if people take nothing away from this, figure out what you're about and find other people that are about that, and like build, because that's what's going to sustain you.
Yeah, and don't get stuck in your head. Okay, if you just heard what Kamilah said, and you're like, well, I don't know what I'm about. Well, then find somebody who can help you figure out what you're about. Like, just ask a better question. Not how can I get this done on my own, because no one changes alone. It's never happened. In any type of relationship, workforce, no one has ever grown alone, whether it be a good circumstance or what you call a bad circumstance. We are all growing each other into who we're supposed to become. So align yourself with people who might rub you the wrong way, because actually they're refining who you're supposed to be. Your no is clarity and your yes is expansion. Make sure you're not trying to do this alone, because in your head is a battlefield. Don't go to nobody goes to war alone.
They say love is a battlefield, but
Okay.
in your
Your mind
head is a battlefield.
Okay, right. 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 Now, Kamilah brought up something earlier, y'all. If you're just joining us, welcome to Wisdom Wednesdays. And we were talking about liberation. Now, liberation is also akin to one of the definitions that we use here for wisdom, right? Which wisdom is not permission, it's not consent or authorization. It's a deep knowing that comes from the life experiences you've had and the desires that are arising in you. So when you're thinking about liberation and wisdom, Kamilah, what has really led you intuitively to make this transition from where you were in corporate, being a CEO, to this creating a sustainable place for other women to thrive and transform?
I've been very fortunate that I've had a very strong gut. And the times where I don't follow my gut are the times I get myself in trouble.
Mm,
So, sort of in this decade of my life, I'm 42. I don't know what happens at 40. There's a whole kind of level of clarity that opens up that, you
yeah.
know, and I just decided that even if it feels scary, even if it feels unfamiliar, if my gut is telling me to try something, then I owe it to myself to try it.
Yeah.
If I fail, then I will have learned something and grown from it, and I'll
Hmm.
try something else.
Hmm.
So, I've had this conversation with a few people about this idea of fear. And, I have fear, but for whatever reason, there's something in me that prevents that fear from taking hold and taking control, and becoming the driver kind of in my life seat, my life
Yeah.
bus.
Yeah.
I've failed a lot, but I feel like every single time I've grown.
Hmm. Hmm.
I think I've been very fortunate. Kind of, I put this out there too. I was very fortunate early on in my career that I had financial stability with the job, so I got like a good retirement package. So I was building up kind of savings and retirement. So
Yeah.
that was a cushion and comfort for me. So that's a privilege that I had that allowed me to be more able or willing to kind of take the leap that I took. I
Hmm.
had my money right. And
Yeah. Yeah.
some people call it FU money. And I think that's exactly what it was. It was,
Yeah.
allowed me to say, when my gut said it's time to make a change, I was able to say, okay, we're doing this. And I think the words that I spoke to myself were, I'm going to bet on myself for a year
Yeah.
and see what comes of it. And if
Yeah.
it doesn't work out for me, if it doesn't feel right, I'll pivot and do something else. I had this confidence that and that's the thing. I think I have confidence. I can figure just about anything out,
Yeah.
and I don't know where that comes from, but I think it probably came from like I've tried a lot throughout my life and I've always been all right. Even if it didn't work out, I figured it out or learned something and came out of it better. So I think just kind of leaning into that is what made me decide that it was time. And then once I started becoming more public with my story, you know me, I'm an introvert. I don't like the spotlight. I like to kind of fall behind the scenes. I love dance. I like performing. I love art and creativity, but I don't like attention. I don't like being vulnerable. But once I decided last year to kind of be more open about my story, that's when women started coming to me in my messages and my DMs saying, this resonates so much. How did you do it? How do I do this? And I was like, why don't we just figure this out together? I wanted to create, I knew that I had always kind of created healthy communities, even the teams that I ran at various jobs, captain of my dance team in high school, like, things like that. I've always had really good communities that I've led. And I'm like, why don't I just do this and we can do it together? And then, along my liberation journey, I was like, like I said, I want to pull along as many people who want to experiment with this to help them know that they have an option or just to have a safe space to do it in, right? Like it's hard to kind of go out on your own and fall on your own. But if you have a soft landing pad, that's what I wanted to be. I wanted to be the bridge and I wanted to be the soft, safe landing pad for people to just to try. And so that's how I've been managing to sort of maintain my vision, support other women, and just sort of trusting my instincts and guts along the way.
Yeah. And I think you're bringing up something also that's interesting, right? Safety doesn't mean comfort. Right? Safety means that you can try and you can fail in an environment that will allow you to do that without regret, retribution, or like a negative response.
Judgment, criticism, absolutely. And I was craving that. Honestly, I was craving that. Personal relationships, professional relationships, specifically professional, because I came out of a space where I just, things that happened, I just felt unsafe. It was very comfortable. It was very, very comfortable. But it just wasn't a safe space for me to exist. And I just wanted to create spaces where particularly Black women could feel safe and feel seen and feel protected, if that even is the right word I'm looking for. And so, safety does not equal comfort, but it does equal all the things you mentioned, particularly just being able to be vulnerable, being able to mess up, being able to know people have your back. All of that.
Yeah. So, one of the things that we also say here is like pursuit is the real work. So as you're pursuing this next vision, what do you feel like is your next growth edge? What's the next thing Kamilah is going to be sharpening her toolbox, her skill set to be able to do?
That's a good question. I don't know that I think that far in advance. I'm kind of impulsive and I just kind of do what feels right in the moment. I just want to grow. I want to reach more people. I want to come out of my comfort zone and put myself in front of more audiences, learn to speak my story a bit more effectively. Or just a bit more widely so that people can kind of see through my journey, the missteps that I've made, kind of the ways that I've kind of navigated and managed this space, and to just know that it's possible for them if they want it. Not everybody needs to want it. Not everybody needs to go this route. It ain't for everybody. But if you do want it, I just want people to know that it's possible. And so I think, the next step for me is just to put myself out there a little bit more, speak at conferences, that sort of thing. I'd love to grow the community, of course. Like the goal I have in mind, I'm like, if I can get 350 women in this community in the next 2 years, just think about the lives that'll be changed. And sort of, people talk about generational wealth and they talk about generational trauma. Think about the traumas that could be lifted by exploring the space of liberation. So, that's my goal. And I think for me, the only way to get there is to continue to put myself out there, which is extremely uncomfortable for me, but I'm do it. 2023, let's rock.
You're doing it. Look, you're doing it right now. If Kamilah's story is resonating with you, I want you to drop a comment below this video, and we will also include some links below to how you can find out more about the Katalyst Mastermind. Listen, what Kamilah is describing is not impulsive at all. It's a deep, intuitive listening, right? She is so well versed in her own gifts and talents that she is understanding how to make sound decisions based on intuition. That is, again, one of the definitions of wisdom, regarding the application of experience and knowledge as good judgment.
Where does that come
Everything you
from, though? How I, I think about that. Like, where does that come from? I've thought. Sorry to interrupt you, but it's
No,
just
please. This is what we're doing.
I'm just like, I don't know, and I want other people to have that confidence.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know where it came from, but just to know that we've been figuring ish out for a very, very, very long time.
Long time. Right.
And, I would say generations, right?
Yeah.
Like, we are built from the stock of people that handle business and figure things out. And if I just want people to know that everything's figure outable.
No, I totally agree. Same thing, right? Like, in our community, right, we build it on clarity, confidence, and community, right? You find clarity, you build confidence, which is really just you keeping your agreements with yourself. The integrity is what you build with others. Yes, I'll do it. They said I'll do it. We did, right? But when you tell yourself you're going to do something and you don't do it, that's what lessens the confidence, and that's what keeps people from really listening to their intuition, right? So we build a community. Both of us are building communities around people that they can practice better confidence, right? Better confiding within themselves to be able to see the real gifts and talents that the world needs from them.
Agree. I always feel like whenever I come with you, it's like a woosah, moment for me. And then, I agree. Just building that confidence. You're right.
And it all counts, right? Like, everything we've ever done. Let me just be super clear with anyone out there who's like on the fence right now, or feeling like, oh, well, they did it because they had, no. Everything you've done counts towards who you're becoming. Nobody is starting at zero. If you decide tomorrow to do something different, because self-awareness is important, but the decision to actually transform is the real work. You have to know that about your gaps and what you would love, but then you have to actually decide to do something about it. And that's where the transformation comes in. But when you decide that, you're not starting at zero. You're starting from all the things you've ever done and building into something new, right? You're just using all your transferable skills to build a new structure for the life you would love. So don't think about zero.
Now, it's all your clay. You're molding it, right, step by step. And you might take 2 steps forward and 1 step back, and but you'll figure it out. You have no choice but to figure it out.
Kamilah, we've asked everybody this season the same question, and it's coming from this Pico Iler quote that says, "You are only as strong as your readiness to surrender." Tell us about when you knew you were ready to surrender.
So yes, Katalyst. I knew I was ready to surrender when my health was being affected. My physical health was being, and my mental health, if we're being honest, was being impacted. I was not being the mother, that I wanted to be. The partner that I wanted to be, and just the me, quite frankly, that I wanted to be. I was always distracted, and just that constant feeling of unease and discontent, and just that feel like, again, the gut of something just not being right. So, you just at some point, I remember journaling about it. I'm not a huge like religious person, but I remember doing this on one day on my knees. The kids are bed, and I'm in the living room, and I'm just like, I don't know what it's supposed to be. I just know it's not supposed to be this. So I'm ready to receive whatever I'm supposed to be doing next. And I think that's the vision. Like, if you were to get a visual of surrendering, it was literally me on my living room floor at about 10:30 at night, kids in the bed, sleep like this. And I just knew it was time, and I knew something had to happen. I had no idea what was next. I just knew this wasn't it.
That's right. Listen, I believe your story is powerful. I believe other people are going to resonate with it. I can't wait to work with you again, and I'm super excited for other people to get to know what you offer. If you have been listening to this episode right now, and you know that it is time for you to change, and you are in transition, you want to know more about the Katalyst Mastermind, please click the link below this video. And if you know that the vision in you needs a little bit more support, we want you to check in for our next Vision Builder Mastermind cohort that will start on January 9th. If you haven't scheduled your free vision call, jump over to lifestepsandsages.com, and I'd love to talk to you about your work in being a vision builder. Kamilah, thank you so much for joining us. It's always a pleasure.
Thank
We will see
you.
you again soon.
All right. I'm going to go shoot some hoops with my
Okay.
6 kids.
Right.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.